Hello. So today we're going to be looking at something else that has come up way too often in the past, though luckily you usually only do it once per company. But once you can do it, you tend to get the luck of doing it over and over. And that is migrating from DBT Cloud to DBT Core. Or even if you're not actually trying to migrate, sometimes if your journey into DBT has started with DBT Cloud rather than DBT Core, then it's a little unclear sometimes what the true differences are and how much setup there is actually involved by trying to run your project, locally or in another environment using core when you've been running it on cloud the whole time. Cloud takes away a bunch of this setup, but as you'll see, there really isn't that much under the hood going on, and it's definitely not something to be kind of worried about or think is going to take a huge amount of time. So let's get into it. So for this example, I'm actually going to do it from within an Orchestra pipeline where you can see I have this DBT job running in the middle of an ELT analytics pipeline. And this one is actually triggering DBT Cloud. And the job ID is analytics. And all this is doing is running that kind of DBT Cloud job for me in the middle of my pipeline. And if we take a quick look at how this job is set up in DBT Cloud, we can see it's in my prod environment. It's called analytics. It's a deployment job, all the usual. I'm running source freshness and docs on this job. And I've also put in 4 steps, which I know you wouldn't really do it like this, but just to demonstrate steps that we're going to have to get out and essentially run with DBT core. So for those of you not familiar with like what goes on under these tick boxes, what this is going to look like is we're going to have dbt source freshness run as a command, then probably these 4 commands, and then we're going to have dbt docs generate run as the final command to give us our documentation. We're not expecting to host it or anything, but we're going to generate the documentation, and that's the key thing. Scrolling down, there's a few other settings in here that we're going to try and pull out just in case, but obviously we don't have a schedule because it's already orchestrated via Orchestra. So doing this manually actually isn't that hard, or with Terraform or the API or any code, to be honest. But for this use case, we've kind of compacted these into a skill, because why wouldn't you these days, that looks at the mappings and the kind of concepts we've provided it and given it knowledge of to be able to do this in a bit more of an automatic and flexible way. So I've defined this skill in Orchestra of Orchestra DBT Cloud to DBT Core, and you can see it's got a whole bunch of context about both Orchestra tasks, DBT Cloud settings, and DBT Core settings. And then I've just cloned the Orchestra pipeline builder and renamed it as the DBT pipeline builder, because this one's going to have all the same instructions, but I've granted it that extra skill of the DBT Cloud to DBT Core one we just saw, and I've given it access to 2 integrations. So these are the BigQuery credentials for my DBT project. So this is like profiles.yaml essentially, and this is my connection to that DBT Cloud instance. And if you've never set up a profiles.yaml before for DBT, all you're essentially going to need is that kind of credential set that you use to set up the connection in DBT Cloud. And then you're just going to populate the profiles.yaml template using these credentials. Nice and easy. Once you have those credentials, setting up a DBT core integration in Orchestra is super easy. It's just dropping your profiles.yaml in here. There is an agent if you get stuck and need help mapping any of the credentials across as well. Once it's in there, it's going to be effectively the same as the DBT Cloud connection, where it has your repository and your DBT credentials ready to go. So we've set all that up, given it to the agent. It can access cloud and it can use core. And we are just going to ask this agent now to go and add a task to our DBT pipeline in the place or next to DBT Cloud, but using DBT Core to execute exactly the same steps. So we'll let this run for a minute and see how it does. And I know sometimes we use these skills as if they're like a one-shot piece of magic, but just to kind of show you they're not, this time we can see the agent has come back and said, before I deploy, can I just check some things with you? And it's actually just wanting to check which of the connections in my Orchestra account I want to use for this DBT core task. Now, my DBT Cloud setup wasn't particularly complicated, but if you've got environment variables or all sorts of other additional customizations, extra settings, advanced settings, other environments, all those kind of bits, the skill is going to go and look for that. And you could probably expect a few more clarification questions, but this is just done to kind of make sure you're confident with what it's doing along the way, rather than it trying to guess everything and making a complete mess of it. Cool. And the agent has finished and told me to come and check out the pipeline. So let's see how it looks. We have our original pipeline with our DBT cloud transformation job, and now this shiny new DBT core one right next to it. Now, obviously, what you do from here in terms of deleting it, running it, pausing the other one, totally up to you. But let's just check it's got the right stuff going on. So if we open it up, we can see that the agent has actually passed out our DBT commands from DBT Cloud and written them as separated commands in a single task. You could split these up, you can combine them different ways. Again, that is up to you. But I think you'll agree these are the steps we were expecting. We have our source freshness, pass, run command, two test commands, and docs generate. Interestingly, it's actually looked in the additional settings in our DBT Cloud job and seen that we're running 4 threads, which I'm guessing disagrees with what's in my profiles.yaml in Orchestra. So the agent has decided to actually put the threads specification into the commands. That being because threads is not necessarily a sensitive parameter, it wouldn't be able to read other secrets. If we scroll down, there's not much more to this DBT job because it was fairly straightforward. You can see the connection I've put in has been selected, so this should be good to go. All you're left to do from here is run it and make sure that it works the same as your DBT Cloud job does, or change the target so it writes somewhere else and compare it that way. So I ran my pipeline and they actually both fail for the same reason, in that I've set my connection wrong. But if we have a quick look, we can actually see that the DBT core project has actually run successfully. We've compiled it, brought all the nodes in, and as long as that looks as you were expecting this project to look, it's already part way to showing you how easy it is to switch these two over. So that was one way to do this with an agent, but the kind of core of this is just that you're looking to get these execution settings, i.e. your list of commands, and your credentials out of your DBT Cloud environment, and set them up as an Orchestra DBT core task and an Orchestra integration, respectively. So a profile from here will live in here, and job settings and commands from here will live in here. That's all there is to it. So if you're looking to just try out DBT Core for any reason, really, even if you're not looking to migrate, you just want to know what's the difference in the developer experience, what else can I do with DBT once it's outside of DBT Cloud, or you're just looking for a way to compare the two before you choose which route you're going to choose for your company, it's really easy. Even if you've started from DBT Cloud, you can come to DBT Core and vice versa, just as easy as that in a few minutes. So give it a go. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think of DBT Core, and cheers.